Hi, I'm Alicia. I'm so excited to show you Education Galaxy today. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a former elementary and middle school teacher and instructional coach for 8 years. I believe in this product so much that I decided to come and be a part of Education Galaxy and share it with other educators. Here at Education Galaxy, we're all about making learning fun and effective. We provide online assessment, practice, and instruction in a very engaging way. I know from my own experiences in the classroom that kids absolutely love Education Galaxy. We believe that when a student is engaged, their capacity for learning is greatly increased. Wouldn't you agree? We are focused on fourth through fifth grade math, reading, third through fourth grade writing, and fourth and fifth grade science. We are elementary only. Our program is developed to be highly engaging to young learners. We are 100% online, meaning that wherever you are connected to the internet, you have access to our program. We have two programs, Education Galaxy for one on grade level learners, and then Liftoff for Tier 2 and Tier 3 learners. I'm going to show you today Education Galaxy as a second through fifth grader would see it. Then I'm going to go into how a K through first grade student would look at it, and then briefly cover our Liftoff program design again for our Tier 2 and Tier 3 students. So once you log on as a fourth grader, I'm logged on here, this is the dashboard that your students are going to see. Your students will be highly motivated to earn these Galaxy Stars over here. The Galaxy Stars are what unlocks 4 of our coolest features. The first thing that the Galaxy Stars unlock is our alien ranking cards. Your students will start off as an alien baby, as you see here, and will move up in their rank by earning more stars. Once you buy the program, we will send out the alien ranking cards to you guys to create some cool bulletin boards and get your students fired up about moving up in their alien rankings. We have some examples here of some bulletin boards created across the country from some of our participants. We hold a competition each year for best bulletin boards. I know that when my students did this, my students really got motivated and would even log on to Education Galaxy at home and on weekends to work, which is a big help to me as a teacher to get additional practice in. So it really becomes a part of your school culture. The second feature the stars unlock are our rockets. Our games are rocket themed, and so each time that your students earns more stars, they get to earn more rockets here to play those games with. So they have about 30 that they can collect. The third feature is our alien avatar, and the students get to design their avatar. The avatar is an additional source of motivation that celebrates your students at each achievement. And then the fourth feature will be our games. I'm going to show you that in just a few moments. So with back to our Galaxy Stars here, when a student scores 70%, they get 1 star. With a score of 80%, they get 2 stars. With a score of 100%, they get 3 stars. So within our program here, we have our study plan. And this is where your games are ultimately going to be located. So the first thing, we're going to go into math. I taught math, so it's one of my favorite subjects here. The first thing that you notice about the study plan is our descriptions of our standards. So this is great for 2 reasons. This is great first for your teachers who are coming in that are new, that may not be familiar with the state standards in your state, that they really get a feel of what they are and how our questions really align with those state standards that you guys have. Another thing that's so amazing about the study plan is that students can work self-paced, or teacher can direct them and guide them on which section they want them to work on. For example, I use this as a station option in my classroom and assign students to log on at home to do a section for homework. It provides your teachers flexibility in the classroom with the confidence that their students are going to use it and learn from it. All right. I taught lines and angles. I love that subject, so we're going to go into that one first. So the first thing that you notice here is our mini lesson. This is a great option for your students to have in order to, close any misconceptions that they have. It goes over briefly the topic that they're going to be learning and studying for the day. So I know that this was something very important for me. I don't know how many hours I spent as a teacher searching for the right engaging video to help explain a topic. Well, this is a great feature here for your teachers to use and your students to use as well. The next thing that you notice is that some of your games are locked. Again, those stars will unlock these games. So it's additional motivational piece for your students to unlock more and more games so they are not bored with the same game over and over. So I'm going to go into the blast off here, and I'm going to just pick this here. So the first thing that you notice is we go straight into a question, and we have 4 different question types. We have multiple choice, we have text response, we have drag and drop, and we have multi-response questions. These are all good for supporting rigor within your classroom. So I'm going to answer the question here, what type of angle is shown above? And I believe it is a acute angle. And once I get the question right, it goes straight into the game. So I'm going to play the game here. And again, the game is modeled after like Angry Birds. Um, and so then after you play the game, it goes straight back into your question. So I'm going to go to the next question. I'm just going to get the question wrong. And one of the things that you see is our alien explanation here that comes up. Now we have about 10,000 questions on Education Galaxy, and we have an alien explanation for every last one of them. An alien explanation video, when it pops up, is an additional instruction on the subject. It does not give your students the answer, but provides them enough corrective instruction for them to be able to apply the learning and go back and try again. This immediate feedback is very important to ensuring student growth. And again, you can't rush through this. The students have to watch a certain amount of the video and learn from it before they are able to exit out of the screen. Then it goes right back to their question. They have to get that question correct in order to move on. So again, it says what type of angle is shown again. I'm going to push acute and it's correct. And then when I push my question again, it goes back into another question. The great thing about this is that you have to get your question correct the first time to play the game. Otherwise, it will go to the next question in the assessment. All right. So, as a teacher, I always wanted to differentiate instruction and to better meet the needs of my individual students. Education Galaxy helped me to do that with the My Assignments tab here. Your teachers have the option to create individual assignments and tests and assign them to specific students. They will show up here for your students, and your students can go in and work at them with your own pace. So next is the My Diagnostic section. This is another option for individualized learning. It is an optional section. This is a summative test. It includes a pre and a post test to measure growth. After the pre-test, your students and your teachers are provided a very informative report that shows strengths and learning gaps to help better focus your students' learning. Another awesome feature is that the pre-test diagnostic creates a recommended topics for study. So again, once you've taken the diagnosis, which is optional, it will recommend topics of study for your students. My school used the pre-test at the beginning of the year and took the post-test about a month prior to our state exams to get an idea of what additional work was necessary to close our student achievement gaps before the test time. Again, we are fully aligned to your state standards, and research has shown that students that use our program show a substantial amount of growth on their state exams. So lastly is the My Skill Practice. This is another exciting support for your students. I frequently had my students that just needed that extra support in multiplication or had gaps in their reading that made it almost impossible to move forward in their learning to work in the skills practice. Yet every one of your students are going to want to participate in the skills practice because of the competition that is embedded with it. So when you go into the skills practice, let's say we go into the reading here, and here's the practice with analogies, comparative adjectives. So they're sectioned off into topics. And so when you go into that, it's again game-based screen here, and students are ranked not only within their school and not only within their district, but nationwide based on their wins and losses ratio. So it's a great competition. So just imagine having one of your students nationally recognized on one of the game boards for their excellence. So I'm going to show you now how a first grader would interact, or K through first grade would interact with the program. I'm going to log back in. All right, so this is what a first grader um, or kinder would look at here. As you notice that there's a completely different design. So remember, engagement is a priority with our program. We know that different age groups have different needs as far as engagement goes. We develop our program to match a kinder or first grader's computer literacy and engagement level. Notice we have lots of colors, we have animation, we have a completely different design than our older students program would. So I'm going to go into, let's go into the math portion here again. So we still have the study plan, the diagnostic test, the recommended topics, and over here we also still have the skills practice, just as the older students did have. However, to help our younger learners, the icons are read aloud and includes pictures. So when you hover over that, it'll be read aloud for your students and then also has the picture to follow up with it. This just makes it very easy for your younger learners who are not literate yet to be able to, follow along with the teacher's instructions and be able to engage with the program a little bit better. So with our questions are also different. Here's an example question here that a kinder through first grader might see. So also what you will see is that there is a icon here for that to be read to your students. It's read in real human voice and oftentimes in a human child's voice with inflections, and that also helps the students stay engaged. Another thing that we have here still is our features for the students to be able to write with and keep notes and underline. We also can make the text bigger and or smaller, and we can also have the eraser tool here just as the older students have there. So again, that wraps up our Education Galaxy portion. So let's take a look at what we would see if we were going into the Liftoff program. So I'm going into Liftoff program. And let's log on here. So we're going to go into the Liftoff program. To remember liftoff will better meet the needs of your Tier 2 and Tier 3 students. The program will identify the level your student is performing on, work with them in the zone of proximal development, and move them up to grade level. I've also known teachers to use this for their really advanced students who may be in the second grade, but it can work on a fourth grade level to have more personalized learning experience. Nevertheless, Liftoff is a supplemental tool for your RTI program. It is not a screener or a progress monitor. This program is going to greatly improve skills and prepare your students for testing on grade level. It is best for students in grades 2 through 5. So the first thing that you notice is that the student dashboard is exactly like an Education Galaxy. This is done on purpose. We want your struggling students to not feel left out when working side by side with an Education Galaxy user. As a teacher, I always felt comfortable assigning practice to all of my students without the concern of students feeling left out or questioning what their classmates are doing. In both programs, your students are still earning stars right here. They're still earning their rockets. Also, their alien cards are the same. And they get to use their alien avatar as well. In both programs, the only difference between the two programs is the adaptive diagnostics located here. So, unlike Education Galaxy, the adaptive diagnostics is a mandatory in the Liftoff program. This will start at your student's grade level and drop them down, and you'll place them exactly where they will go. So, we also have here the My Galaxy section. And so when I go into the My Galaxy section here, you will notice that I'm logged in as a fifth grader with this one, that there is 5 different galaxies based on your student's grade level. So if it's in fourth grade, there'll be 4 galaxies. So this is sectioned out through grade levels, but your students won't see it as such. Your students will see it more as levels for them to earn and to build up. So based on your diagnostics, it will tell you exactly where your rocket will start off at. And as you progress, your rocket will continue to progress on to different galaxies here. So think of it, I guess, as a vertically aligned scaffolding. So each time your student's mastered, they get to move their rocket on up. So that is our liftoff program there. And last thing I'm going to show you is something that our teachers see here. A lot of teachers ask about our reports. So your teachers have a lot of different features and options within the program that they get to use. They get to coordinate and get to manage a lot of what their students see and interact with, such as, your avatar. If you want to turn off your avatar on and off during school hours or certain features during school hours, you can do that and open it back up for after school. But the main thing is the data that is collected here, which is very valuable to me when I was a teacher. So it helps to support data-driven instruction. So let me take a look at some of these reports that you get here. So again, it gives you color-coded reports, tells you exactly the section your students are working on, how many attempts that they answered, their progression. There, it really gives you an insight of how your students are progressing again through the program and what they need support on. So we have a diagnostic report here. After you take the diagnostic test, it tells you exactly your areas of strengths and what studies are required to close that, and then also gives you a critical need for study here. So it also gives you reports by your class, gives you class averages. This is probably my favorite here at all of the the reports that we have for your teachers. This is probably my favorite. It gives you exactly the percentages of where your students are needing support in as a class collectively, so you can go back and reteach. I use a lot of these reports to make decisions